Oh, look who's in the house. Yankee Outdoor Adventures. Hi, brother. I'm just going to sort a few things out and be right back. Is it Wejek? The type of work that we do around this time of the year is basically on pines, where the needles of the previous year are dying and turning yellow, particularly on Japanese white pines. And those needles need to be removed, and they come off quite easily. And so that's one sort of work. The other is tail end of summer pruning. We can still do some summer pruning and start preparing for winter. And also around end of the month, towards the middle to end of October, we can start wiring. Cedars now, Asha, Stuart, what would you like to know about Stuarts? Cedars, can you be a little bit more specific? Well, I don't fertilize in autumn. I fertilize them through the summer months. Is the audio all right? I've just realized I didn't have my sort of headphones on. And yeah, I don't fertilize in the autumn. I fertilize from around April through to the end of September. And I use chicken pellets for that. Thank you for translating. Tranquilgio, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, for the French person. And thank you for appreciating the work. Yeah, Atlantic. Now, what exactly do you want to know about Atlantic cedars? I don't have any Atlantic cedars. I had a Lebanese cedar, which I had for a number of years, and then somebody from Lebanon who works for Hilton locally saw it and bought it. So that was that. But again, cedars are quite easy to look after. Fairly easy, just like pines and junipers. They don't require a lot of attention, but they do need a lot of effort in terms of wiring and shaping. Hello, Jacob Douglas. Let me see. Right, your. Let me read this comment. Jacob Douglas, I seem to never be able to keep my pines alive. When it comes to my tropics, they thrive in my zone B climate. Any thoughts on what I'm doing wrong? Now, remind me, where are you? I am in England, so we don't have these zones, climate zones. Whereabouts are you? Sounds like you're in America. Whereabouts are you? That'll give me a little bit of an idea what's going on with your pines. Can you let me know, Jacob? I think pines like to be in a colder climate, and I know people in India, they are having problems with pines and junipers. They find it difficult to keep them alive. There we are, Mississippi. That's in the south, isn't it? It's quite reasonably warm there. I think that could be the problem, and this is why your tropics are doing very well. Uh, Perhaps it's too warm where you are, and if I were you, I would focus on trees that grow local species which grow well, and that way it becomes very easy to look after. I try to grow tropical sort of trees. I'm growing mango trees. Tamarind is the latest one that I'm working on. And I also have some jades which need to be taken in during winter. I have some olive trees, European wild olives, which have to be taken indoors over winter months. So it's if you work with local trees, it becomes much easier. Now, Asha Stewart. Now, last time I kept Trident maples, they died within the first few weeks. I live in Australia towards temperate south. Now, Asha Stewart. Now, again, maples, they like to be in colder regions. They like to go into dormancy, and also they like to be in semi-shade. Where were you keeping them? If you keep them in, if it's too warm, you can keep them in complete shade, or where they get very weak early morning sun or late evening sun. Asha, try that. That may work. They don't like, here in England, I have to keep mine in semi-shade location. The sun isn't very strong, but they still, occasionally when I forget, they get sunburn. And the leaves go, so on the edges are burnt and curl up. And there isn't any cure until they drop off in autumn and the new ones come the following spring. Walter de Leon, hi, good to have you here. And your comment is, I'm a beginner here. I have a problem with my needle pine tree. It has almost pencil size trunk, but I don't know how to begin with. From the Philippines. Hello, my friend. I have many viewers and subscribers in Philippines. Now, with your pine, to thicken the trunk, the only way is to plant it out, and the thickening of the trunk will speed up. You need to plant it out for 2 or 3 years, or until it reaches a thickness that you are happy with. And then you can lift it and put it back into a bonsai pot. And basically, when you plant it out, when you dig a hole in the ground, place a tile underneath, and then place your needle pine on it, and remove any tap roots so that the remaining roots are in radial shape or horizontal and sit nicely on the tile. And then finish planting, and when you lift it, the roots will have grown radially and would have grown over the tile and then gone down. And when you lift it, you can trim the roots so that when you put the tree in a bonsai pot, you have very nice radial roots and nothing growing straight down. Asha Stewart, any advice? Any advice on what I covered your question on the maples, and that was to keep them in semi-shade, and where they get very, very weak early morning sun or late afternoon or evening sun. And if it's very hot, in that case, try keeping them in complete shade. That might work. Patricia, sorry about the delay. Unfortunately, I am using OBS, and this is something that I may have to live with. Now, the temperature 1 Celsius is not a problem. Here in England, we sometimes get up to 10, 12, minus 12 Celsius, and the trees are still okay. By deciduous trees, and pines and junipers, they're all okay, including Chinese elms. Good, Walter, that's great. Yankee, my friend, no question is stupid. The only question which is stupid is the one that doesn't get asked. Yankees, my friend. Yes, in fact, there is a misconception. Some people think that bonsai is a unique, special sort of tree or a special species of. There isn't any such thing. The bonsai trees are normal trees which are made to remain small, and the way we do it is by chopping the trunks, and when the trunks have got thick enough, so we would remove some branches, and the trunk would be chopped, and new branches developed, and the trees are constantly repotted. The deciduous trees are repotted every 2 years, and at every repot, Yankee, we remove about a third of the roots. So that's how the roots are kept small, and the top is pruned constantly, and the branches are selected, and the ones which are not required are removed, and that's how the trees are kept small. I've got oak trees, I've got known redwoods, I've got all sorts of trees. I've got apple trees, I've got Fuji cherry trees. What else have I got? I've got there's loads of stuff I have, and I've got a complete mental block. I've got pines, junipers, Japanese white pine, black pine, trident maples, Arakawa maple, many different types of maples, and so there's a lot of stuff, and these are normal trees which are made into little bonsai trees. Now I have to get closer. Andreas Douglas, you could try some species of pines which are suitable even for indoor bonsai, such as Pina, Italian stone pine. No, I'm not familiar with that. Uh, I thought all the pines and junipers need to be kept outdoors. Uh, they don't survive out here. People have tried keeping them indoors, but they don't survive. They have to be kept outdoors, and perhaps you could get away with if you have keep them in a conservatory. That just might work, Andre Douglas. Now, Asha Stewart, I am trying to say is that we get up to 45 Celsius in the summer and with very low humidity. Right. So, Asha, what you need to do is you may have to water quite a few times. And I travel quite a lot. I've been to Japan and China, and in Japan, I've seen the nurseries watering 3 or 4 times a day. And here in England, at the height of summer, I have to water at least twice, once in the morning and once in the evening when I come home. Now, Yankees, let's look at Yankees' comment. What's the perfect size to start with to create a bonsai? Yankees, now you can start with there are various ways. You can start from seed, which will take a long time, or you can start with small cuttings, and or you can buy trees from garden center or nursery plants and bring them home and make them into bonsai trees. The other method is to collect wild material from the open spaces or from woodlands. But if you do that, you must have permission of the landowner. I must emphasize that. And then you can pot up the collected material in a training pot or made out of wood, and leave it for about a year, and after a year you then start working on it. You allow it a year to recover from the shock of having been taken from nature. Do trees still grow fruit? Absolutely, Yankees. I've got on my channel, I've got some of my fruit trees, and you can see them in flower, and like the apple trees and quince trees, and they are bonsai trees with fruit. The apple trees, the fruit is miniature, and the quince trees, the fruit is slightly smaller than the normal quinces, but not quite tiny enough. And I also have bonsai fig trees, but those are not, I haven't made any videos of that for my channel. I hope that answers your question, Yankee. If you have anything else, Yankee, fire away. Now, Andrea S., it was advice of Douglas with southern species of pines. Now, I don't quite get that. So, John Levins. Oh, hello. Hi, how are you doing? Good to have you here, John. Asha, you have ever worked with an Australian natives? No, unfortunately, we don't get any Australian trees here. So the answer to your question is no, I haven't. Now, Yankees, if I send you a real small red cedar sapling, would you use it to create a bonsai? Absolutely, but we'd have to get it past the customs. By all means, if you're sending a sapling, put it in a jiffy bag, wrap up the roots in cotton, wet cotton, and then paper towel, a wet paper towel, and then seal it all, seal up just the root section with some cling film. And the best time to send would be when when the saplings are dormant, which is between January and March time. And that way they don't get stressed because they are dormant. And Yankees, that would be the best time to do that if you seriously want to do it. And I'd be quite happy to make it into a bonsai and again do the videos for you to see its progress. Now, anyone has any other questions? Right, Yankees, great. Yeah, we can have a chat in private. And also, while you are here, Yankees, it's been very, very busy here. Behind with my bonsai work and videos, editing, and a few things have gone wrong. And I haven't forgotten. I will try and get something suitable made up for you for your meet and greet sort of stuff that you do. Right, folks. I made this broadcast to check out to see if things were still working because I haven't done a live stream for a few months now. John, let's see, Detroit, Michigan, and area. At what time of the year should I lift grown trees? Right. Basically, John, you would lift the trees around springtime. We do it here in the UK around March time, towards the end of February, March, just as the trees are coming out of dormancy. So that's when we would lift the trees. Again, spring, maybe it comes early or in Detroit where you are. You just look at the local weather, and basically just before the trees come out of dormancy, that's the time to lift them. George, hi George, Great to have you in the house. Why some bonsai trees in most of websites are expensive without reason? Right, very good question. Basically, some of them are imports, and particularly the Japanese trees, they are quite expensive to start with, and the older they are, the more expensive they are. That basically is the clue. And if you are willing to, what I did when I first started, I just had one decent finished tree and a second less expensive finished tree. And other than that, I just had lots and lots of starter trees. And even now, I have trees which I have planted out in the flower beds to thicken the trunks. And I think basically that's the reason why they are expensive, and also the margins that some of these nurseries have. And I won't name any. I'll get into trouble if I name. But here in England, there are nurseries with. Well, I have a small bonsai nursery and a small bonsai business, and their prices are more than double for exactly the same tree that I sell. Uh, and they have been imported from China, from the same nurseries, yet the price difference is virtually double. And that's because they are more established and they have built up a reputation, and now they are living off of their reputation. People think that they're going to a big nursery, and some people, they believe that if they are paying a lot of money for a tree, they will get something amazing. Now, that is just not true. And again, these nurseries, they are happy to sell trees. When it comes to repotting or styling, a lot of them just aren't interested because there is more profit in selling trees than there is in styling or repotting. And my nursery picks up a lot of repotting work for trees which have been sold at sort of silly prices. I'll give you one example. I have one client about 5, 6 years ago. He bought 8 trees for 32,000 GBP, which is English pounds. And you have to multiply that by 1.35 to work out in American dollars. It's a lot of money. Now, Asha Stewart, how often should I repot Cotoneasta? Right. I think about every 2 years. These are deciduous trees, and I tend to repot mine every 2 years. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Great to have you in the house. Yes, nice to see you too. I haven't broadcast for a long time, and it's been quite busy. And tonight I thought I'd just test the equipment and software to see if it's still working. And so it's going okay. It's working. There's just a slight delay with the open broadcast system software that I'm using, OBS. Godinez, what's the best time to trim a ficus? Right. The best time to prune a ficus is as they're coming at the start of spring. It just at the start of spring, that is the best time. In fact, what I do with ficus is I completely reduce, the branches tend to get very long, so I completely prune the branches to about 2.5 centimeters or an inch for my friends across the pond. And they then grow very vigorously, and the pads are very tight because we've reduced the branches. Right, Yankee, off you go. We'll catch up another time. Thank you, and catch up, as I said, soon. Now, I hope that answers your question about ficus. springtime, the start of the spring is the time to really do some drastic pruning and reduce those leggy long branches. And ficus is also back bud, and I love working on ficuses, and you can be as brutal as you like, and then they back bud and new foliage comes, and they need pruning again in summer. Oh, hi, Walter de Leon. Now, I am interested to learn about bonsai, but unfortunately had to prepare to work. Ah, okay, sorry to hear that. But you can still, Walter, you can still do bonsai. Just do it, have just one or two trees and do a little bit of work as and when you have time. That's what I would suggest. And also, my Facebook account at the moment is in lockdown. It was hacked last month, and we had to go into lockdown, and it's in lockdown for 30 days so that the hackers will then go off to some easy pickings. And Facebook reporting system, unfortunately, is pretty awful because there is so many hacks going on. Accounts are being hacked. So now this is for Walter. Now, if I hope to be back on Facebook 1st of October, and I teach basically what you have to do is apply to join the group. It's mikbonsai. It's a very small group, and only beginners or people like you who are very new are accepted in my Facebook mikbonsai. I have other groups for advanced and intermediate people, but the mikbonsai group is very small, and it's for people like Walter, where you're just starting out, don't know much, and whatever trees you have or plants you have, you take pictures from the 4 sides at eye level, post the 4 pictures, I download them and Photoshop them, put marks where they should be pruned, and also draw where the branches should be placed, wiring, etc. And again, the instructions are done in bite-sized chunks. So when you complete one piece of work, you photograph, upload, and then I do the next part, and we do it in very small chunks. And you are definitely, Walter, that definitely is a way forward, and you're very welcome to apply to join mikbonsai. It's the site is still, the mikbonsai group is still there, but I can't manage it as my account is in lockdown. So once I'm back 1st of October, I can admit you into that group, and I'll be very happy to teach you, or for that matter, anyone else who's in a similar situation. Asha, do you work with Brooke Cummins? Any advice in terms of culture? I'm thinking about getting one today. These are junipers, if I'm not mistaken. I have junipers, but very few. And again, here in England, they're quite easy to look after, and the pruning is very easy. Styling is a bit of a pain. You have to, when you first start, you have to wire every branch. In fact, any tree that you have, if it looks rubbish, if you wire every branch and then place them the way you want, you'll be surprised with what you end up with. Godinez, let's look at your comment. I bought it from IKEA. Lost all. Oh, right. IKEA is a big problem. I can't quite see without my glasses, right? Right, so if it is from IKEA, you will find that the soil is, what do you call it, cocoa peat. And also there are 2 pots. There is an outer pot and there's an inner pot. And the inner pot contains a soil, and at the bottom there are drainage holes. A lot of people don't realize that there are 2 pots, and also cocoa peat doesn't work very well. if it dries out, it's very difficult to get it wet again and moist again. So what I would strongly recommend that your IKEA ficus should be repotted as soon as possible with using bonsai soil, and also wire it in so that you can regularly lift the tree with the inner pot, and any water at the bottom of the outer pot can be emptied out. And again, keep it fairly close to a window where it gets plenty of sun. And I wouldn't prune it at this time. Prune it again in the springtime, and then it will really flourish, and you'll have a lot of new growth and foliage. Right, Godinez, right. Yes, of course you can join, and I will not be able to do anything until after the 1st of October. So if you do apply to join, I won't be able to respond as my main Facebook account is in lockdown until 30th of September. No, George, I haven't blocked anyone. I am so sorry. It's just that I'm in lockdown, and and even my account, even my friends cannot see when when the account goes into lockdown. Nobody can actually see it. Right, Walter. I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the group, and. Godinez, is this a good time to do it? I saw some of your videos about this. I live in Seattle, so sun is not common this season. Right. Okay. Godinez, I work on bonsai trees. I do stuff throughout the year, and particularly repotting. If you're going to do this type of work, you have to be very careful. Make sure that the root ball is wet, and as you take out the soil, have a large bowl of water and dunk the roots in the water to make sure that the roots don't dry out. If your roots dry out, your tree will die. So that's the only sort of thing that you've got to be careful of. Also is the aftercare immediately after you've repotted out of season, which is the summer months, basically if you repot at any time other than the springtime, you can be as brutal as you like, you can make mistakes, but because the trees are coming out of dormancy, they survive. But if you're doing the work out of any time other than the spring, in summer months, then you have to be very careful with the roots, but I've already explained that. And once you've completed repotting, thoroughly water it, and then for at least 2 to 3 weeks, keep it out of sun, keep it in complete shade. And the idea behind that is the leaves are not so demanding on the roots in shade. If they are in the sun, they become very demanding, and the roots would have been pruned a bit to some extent, and it puts extra pressure on the tree and makes the tree most stressed. So, Godinez, that's the only thing I'd tell you to be careful of, and in fact, be extra careful when you do it for the first time. General advice on black pines. Asha, I have one black pine. They are very easy to look after, and the only work that I've done on them is the thinning of the needles, the thinning of the old needles, just the removing of the old needles, and also the candles where there are new candles, and if there are more than two, then I remove the strongest one and leave the weaker ones. We want although the black pine is a slow grower, we still want the growth to be slower with the weaker ones. Retaining the weaker candles it slows the growth down. And I hope that is helpful. That's all the work that I do on my Japanese black pine. Gaudiness, that's great. Be very careful. You can also see some of my videos, and I do suggest that if you're doing the work out of spring, anytime other than spring, to make sure that the roots are wet at all times, and in fact it is safer to keep dunking them every 10-15 minutes than not. It's okay to be extra careful as opposed to trying to say, okay, I only have to do it once every a half hour, and you can get into trouble. It's better to be safe than sorry. Now, Asha, I can't see. My eyes are going. Now, yes, you can use normal garden fertilizer, but my suggestion would be that I use the Kempec 10-10-10, and that's balanced fertilizer. And if you can't get 10-10-10 Kempec, and if they only have 20-20-20, then you dilute it to half strength. John, let's see, can an apple tree be air-layered, and if so, what time of the year should it be done? Yes, in fact, you can air-layer any tree. And the best time, I don't know where you are, John, but here in England, we tend to do in May. April is still a bit cold. May is reasonably warm, and so we do it in May. As soon as it's reasonably warm, John, you can air layer, and it takes a couple of months for the roots to develop. Bye, Asha. Great to have you here. Do pop in again, and I'll try and run these more regularly. All right, John. So in fact, you should be able to do it earlier, maybe even in April. I think it starts to get pretty hot where you are. And I'm sorry you did mention it, but there's so much going on. I have difficulty remembering who is from which location. So John, yes, I think you could start air layering in April, beginning of April, as soon as it starts to get warm. Thanks, Elizabeth. Great to have you here. And John, going back to your apple tree, what sort of apple tree is it? Is it one of those crab apple trees, or is it the apple? Is it the tree with the normal sized apples? All my apple trees are crab apple trees, and I've also got a large one, which is my pride and joy, and that's the Nagasaki crab apple, and it's about 37, 38 years old. And there's a video, I think there's a couple of videos on the channel, and the latest one was this summer, where I've got all the, what do you call it, it had the flowers, and then followed on with tons of apples, and they're all ripe now, and I hope to harvest them soon. And right, John, I'm not familiar with that variety. I think it's probably no, I'm not familiar with that. But yes, you can. Any tree you can air layer. Oh, hi, Asha. Great to have you back. No problem. Right. Anything else, folks? Oh, one question I have for you, there's about 9 people here now. If you could all answer, if you've seen my videos, at the end I've started including the afterthought, which is a bit of British humor. And some of it is quite dry, and some of it is okay, and some of it is downright funny. And I'd like to hear from you as to what you folks think of it. The feedback that I've had on the chat on the videos is very good, but I'm not sure what others think. So it'd be good to know what your thoughts are on the humor that I include at the end of the videos. I'm waiting. Okay, so while you think about it and put some comments in there, is there anything else anyone wants to talk about or know? And if not, then we'll start shutting this stream down. Cascade bonsai, yes, I have. I have a number of these. Let me try and think. I have a mugo pine, I have a juniper, and I have a cotoneaster, which is a pre-bonsai. It has been styled and wired, but it's still in its plastic pot. And I suspect I will bonsai that in March of next year when I repot it. And what else have I got? Cascade style. I've got the mugo pine, juniper, cotoneaster. I think these are the 3 that come to mind. So there could be others that I can't think of. I've got about close to 400 trees out there. Right, Asha, I will bear that in mind to try and do a series of videos on bonsai styles. Lately, what I'm trying to do is go a little bit more deeper into bonsai. If you look at my recent videos, there's a change, there's a shift, and I'm trying to give a lot more information and a lot more close-ups of the work that I'm doing. God Inez, which bonsai pots do you recommend or where to get them? Right, bonsai pots. I get my bonsai pots, mainly I use the Chinese pots, and then there are reasonably priced, and then the next one up is again from China, and that's Tokoname, and also Japanese pots, which are slightly more expensive than the Chinese ones. And the other places to get the from the bonsai shows, they have sales tables, and there are traders there, so you can pick up stuff from there, and they have special offers, reduced prices because they are under pressure to take money. And the other places, the club shows, they have a club sales table, and you can pick up recycled pots for very, very little money. And I think, well, I have a large stock of pots, and the pots don't have to be expensive. You have to try to match the right tree with the pot, and then it looks stunning, and you can make it look like $1 million. It's just a question of matching the right tree with the right pot. The pot doesn't have to be expensive. And likewise, a tree doesn't have to be expensive. Now, I hope that answers your question on the pots. John, enjoy the afterthoughts, but prefer the risque jokes. You see, I have to be careful. I did one on about the blind man, and I'm not sure if you remember that. I'll repeat it here for for those of you who haven't heard about it, there's a knock on the door, and there's a knock on this nunnery's door, and the young novice opens the door, and he says, "It's a blind man, and I've uh, brought the blinds for the bathroom." And she said, "Oh, you can go up." And he gets up to the bathroom and tries to open it, and it's locked. So he knocks on the door, and there's a nun in the bath having a bath. And she, on hearing the knock, she says, "Who is it?" And the chap outside the door, he says, "It's the blind man." And the nun thinks, she's stark as she's in the bath, and she thinks, he's blind. What can he see? And so she says, "Come in." And he walks in, holding the blinds, and he looks at her chest, and he says, "Nice tits. Where do you want me to hang the blinds?" Anyway, I am not sure if that would go down very well with the ladies. I have also lady viewers, so I try to be careful. I've done that one, and it's on one of the earlier videos. Oh, Asha, the fastest way to thicken up trunks, I've already covered that before, so I will run through that again. Um, Basically, you plant the trees out in the flower beds or in the garden. Dig a hole and place a ceramic tile in the hole. Remove all the tap roots and place the tree roots on the tile, and finish planting. And after, after 2 to 3 years, as soon as the tree will start thickening up, the trunk will start thickening up fairly quickly. Let the trunk grow, let the branches grow, and you can prune the branches, but leave the main trunk and at least one or two sacrificial branches to get big and long. And what that does is that helps thicken the trunk. And when the trunk has reached your desired thickness, you lift it, and the ceramic tile will make sure that no roots grow straight down, and you trim the roots from the around the tile, and it will fit perfectly well in a bonsai pot. And that's how you thicken the trunk. And also at that stage, you chop the trunk to the height that you need the tree to be, and you also reduce the sacrificial branches to about, I don't know, a few inches, or remove them completely. Goodness, so you found that funny. Okay, thank you. And some more comments here. I bought a set of 5 stainless steel bonsai tree tools by Roshi. Are they okay for starting? I am not familiar with Roshi, but I have 2 sets of tools, a Chinese set and a Japanese set. And the Japanese ones I bought when I was in Japan. And I actually stumbled on this foundry. I think I'll do a video on that one. I took some photos. I didn't have my video camera with me, so I took some photos with my Nikon camera, and I'll put a video together of the foundry and how I bought the tools and so forth. Yeah, but basically the Chinese tools that I use are quite cheap and cheerful, and they do the job. There's nothing wrong with them. And I regularly sharpen the tools, the scissors and the cutters, and they work fine. So also I have seen people in China, in the Chinese bonsai retailers, they have very few tools, and in fact they are using garden tools. And it is not absolutely necessary to have bonsai tools, but if you have, that's a luxury. And I think with Godinez, what the tools that you have, stainless steel sounds good, and you should be fine with those. Right, folks, I think we are running out of things to discuss, and I will start wrapping it up. And thank you very much for joining in. I just wanted to test to see if my equipment and software still function. I haven't done a live stream for a few months now. And it's getting late here. I'm in England. Time now is getting late. Let me see, what time is it? Right, it's nearly midnight here. So I'm going to have to say good night, and thank you all for joining. And it's goodbye for now, and we'll catch up again soon. Thank you very much, and bye.